I decided that I wanted to do a few videos, particularly for my competitors, because so many of you have something big coming up. You have a return to the platform. I know you really want to be prepared for this, and I would like to help you out. So while we are discussing some of these things via our weekly emails, I realized that some video communication might also be helpful. So I have a few ideas for things that I want to talk about. If you have questions or topics that you'd like me to address on a video, you can throw them my way and maybe I'll make one too. But the first one that I want to address is something that you all should be thinking about now, because if you're in that 6, 8, maybe 10 weeks out kind of time period, you need to be thinking more particularly about your competition lifts in training. And what I mean by this is you've probably had quite a bit of time when you are still working hard on your competition lifts. I know all of you do, but you might have some relaxing in the way that you approach them during your training. So I want you to tighten that up, and I'm going to give you some practical tips for that. So the first one is, obviously, I want you to make your competition lifts your primary focus for that training session. You should have an idea of what your plan is before you get to the gym. You should be prepared to adjust that, as you all know, during your warm-ups, but you should have that plan. You should have some goals that are reasonable for what you are doing and what we have talked about for where you're at in your training right now. Know that before you even go to the gym, or first thing when you're like sitting down and getting ready, okay? Second thing I want you to do is I want you to kind of work on that mental framework of how you think about your competition list. Make this your primary focus for the training session. You do have other work to do, but honestly, it's going to be a little bit less intense. It's still important, but I want the other training work to be a little bit lower intensity. I want your focus and your attention to be right there on your competition list. Then I want you to manage your socialization. If you are training in a gym or with other people, the competition lift time is now not your socialization time, and you need to take that back. You need to draw some lines. You need to make sure that you are not distracted by others in the gym when you are doing these lifts. I also want you to reduce your distractions. So that should be putting your phone on airplane mode so that you're not being distracted by an email, a text, a phone call, or even different things that you may scroll through on Instagram. And I know this can be kind of hard because it's a nice distraction, but make yourself a playlist, save it so that you can listen to it without having internet access. Put your phone on airplane mode, at least during your competition lifts, because that's going to reduce your distractions, and you need to build that habit right now. Okay, because come meet day, come test day, you want to have this far more routine than it might be right now. Then I want you to really clean up your setup routine for each lift. So know exactly what kind of equipment you are using, use it on a regular basis, don't skip it, and then kind of work on that physical and mental routine that you go through. You're gonna load the bar, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna put on your music, get yourself ready, right? Then gear up, give yourself one cue, lift with a lot of purpose and intensity. Like, now is the time to be like, okay, I am going to be slightly more aggressive on my competition list. And I don't mean go wild, like lose control, but you gotta work on putting a little bit more oomph in these competition lists, I think, for many people with this much time away from a meet, okay? So you gear up, give yourself one cue, and then you lift with that purpose and intensity. After that lift or that set, honor your rest times, use them to your benefit. So sit down, don't stand up and walk around, don't start talking to someone. You can have that brief interaction, but then sit down, take a look at the video that you might have taken, do a quick assessment. Don't be super hard on yourself, but look for that cue that you gave yourself. Did you do that? Did you lift well? Did you lift to competition standards? Did you lift like you really cared? Take a look at that, make any notes you need to in your journal. Music should go back on, you're sitting down, and then you're preparing yourself for the next lift. And then basically just repeat that process, right? Gear yourself up, take the same approach to the bar, have your one cue, lift like you really care, and then manage your rest time. And so that's tip number 1. Work on your competition lifts in training, make it work better for you with a few of these tricks, and tips so that your training time leading up to this meet is really not just about doing these lifts, but it's also actually preparing you for meet day. And as we keep going, I'm going to give you some more specifics that are related to this or your particular meet needs. So see you soon.